welcome to Social Studies class. This is Mr. Roney, and today we're going to continue to learn about maps. And you're going to be really cool because when all your friends, their GPS breaks and their phone breaks, they're going to get lost. You are going to know how maps work and how to read them and how to get from one place to another. So let's get after it. I've got a short reading to do, and then we're going to do an activity together where we're going to start to label the pieces of a map. So let's get started. All right. Let's learn about the 50 states in the United States of America. The 50 states, when you write your address, you first write the name of your street and the name of your community. Then you write the name of your state. Your state is one of many in the United States. The United States is a country where you live. It is a country in the continent of North America, and the United States has 50 states. How many of them can you name? And which state would you like to visit? Some of these states are well known because they have famous places that people like to visit. Have you ever heard of the Grand Canyon? It is a famous place in the state of Arizona. The Statue of Liberty is a famous landmark in the state of New York. The states are different from each other. The weather is warmer in some states and cooler in others, and some states are close to the ocean, and others are surrounded by land. In some states, you can see plenty of farmland, but in other states, you will find busy cities instead. How would you describe the state where you live? Each state has communities in it. What is the name of the town or city where you live? This is your community. And some states have many communities with many people living in them. But other states have fewer communities that are located farther apart. A community may have features or landmarks that make it different from other communities. What makes your community special? All right, let's take a quick pause and talk about what makes our community special. So we live in a city called Syracuse, and I think it's really important to talk about why Syracuse is a special place compared to some other places. And one of the things off the top of my head that I can think of is the weather. And there are a couple things that are really cool about the weather in Syracuse. First, we are one of the snowiest places in the country. And usually we get more snow than some of the nearby cities like Buffalo or Rochester, Albany, stuff like that. So when you get your next snow day, you can think of that. Another thing is that we have 4 seasons. Not everywhere in the world has 4 seasons like we do. And a nice thing about Syracuse is that we get pretty long sections of each season. So we get a really nice fall where the leaves fall down. We get obviously a really long winter. We get a nice spring right now, and we get a nice long warm summer. And another thing about the weather that's cool is that we are very safe from most natural disasters that you can think of. So we don't really get earthquakes here. We don't really get hurricanes here. We don't really get tornadoes very often here, making it actually a pretty safe place if you're worried about some of those things. And one more thing I can think of is that Syracuse once was famous for the amount of salt that it produced, like salt that you eat. Salt used to be really important for life because it was the only way to preserve food and make it last longer before there were any refrigerators or ways to keep your food cool for a long period of time. And all of this salt production is why our city is actually named the Salt City. So I think that's pretty cool. What other things that you can think of are reasons that Syracuse is a special place to live? Mapping the United States. Where is your state in the United States? Do you live close to or far from the ocean? Are you in the western or eastern part of the country? A map can help you answer all of these questions. A map shows different places on Earth, including the United States. And a map of the United States can show you the borders of the country and the 50 states. You can figure out where your community is located in the United States by using a map. First, find the state you live in. Then, find the area where you live within the state. Maps can also help you find other states in the country. Can you find New York, Florida, Illinois, South Dakota, Arizona, and California? You can compare their locations to your communities using the tools on a map. Maps have a compass rose to show you the cardinal directions, which are north, south, east, and west. You can use the compass rose to find out if your state is to the east or west of the Mississippi River. Maps also have symbols, and the map key tells you what the symbols represent. For example, some maps have a star on them, and the map tells you that the star represents the U.S. Capitol. A map scale shows you distance. It can tell you how far places are from each other. On the map of the United States, you can use the scale to figure out how many miles South Dakota is from Arizona. So now you'll learn about some famous places in different states, and you can use the map's tools to find out which direction you have to travel in to get to each place and how far the places are from each other. Alright, so we just read and reviewed a few more things about maps and how they work. So right now we're going to try to put those skills to the test. And we're going to look at a number of symbols on a map and see if we can figure out what they are without having the answers right in front of us. And I'm going to need your help to do that. Alright, so if we were in class, I would give you each a map and a partner to try to do this together. But because you're in your home and I'm in my home, we're going to have to do this together on the computer. But it doesn't mean you can't help me out, and I am going to need your input to help label this map. So let's try to label and actually do some of the things that we learned about in the reading just now. So on the top, we've got a few different things that we can do. The first direction says label the compass rose, and this is what yesterday's lesson was all about. So let's take a close look at this map here. And let's see if we can find the compass rose that you learned about yesterday. And I'll show you a picture of what the compass rose looks like in case you forgot. And then we'll try to match that picture to this map here. Think you found it? Yeah, exactly. The compass rose is kind of tiny in this map, but it's right here. And remember, the job of the compass rose is to tell us which directions are north, south, east, and west. And let's label that right now so that we know what it is. So let's write compass rose. And then let's drag this text box over to the thing that points to the compass rose there. Cool. So step 1, done. Now it says label the map key. So if you remember from the reading and some of the things we talked about before, the map key is something that tells us what a symbol on the map means. And the example they gave us was the star represents the capital in the reading. So can you find something here that would be our map key? Keep looking around, it might be kind of small. And yeah, the map key is right down here, where it says U.S. Capitol, and that shows us that this star right here is the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. So let's write map key. And where do we drag it? Yep, all the way down here. All right, now it says find the map scale. And the scale is something that shows us how much space on this map represents how many miles in real life. So obviously the United States is actually not this small. It's huge. It's just a really, really shrunken down version of it. And so that's exactly why we use the scale, which is right here. It tells us how much space equals how many miles. And we'll practice using that scale some other time so you can see how those actually work on a map. But for now, let's just label it. Map scale. We'll put that here. And now there's only a few different things for us to do. Find your state on the map and outline it. So some of you might know what New York State looks like. Others, you might just have to look for the words New York somewhere on this big continent here. Yep, keep looking. You got 10 more seconds before I give you the answer. See if you can find it. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. If you saw New York State up here, oops, that's not what I want to do. All right. Let's outline it just like it said. So New York is actually kind of a strangely shaped state, but it looks something like that. All right, last thing, find your community in your state. This one you're not actually going to be able to find just by looking at the map. You're going to have to know a little something before. So let me help you out with this one. Our state, or our community, and we're going to call that Syracuse for now, is all the way in upstate New York. So when people say upstate, they usually mean north. So we have to look in the northern part of New York State, and it's actually somewhere right in there. Not exactly, but that's pretty close to where Syracuse is. And New York City is somewhere down here. That's why it takes us so long to drive there, if anybody's ever been to New York before. And check that out. We've actually done every single thing on these directions so far. Good job, guys. Let's check the answer key, see how we did. And yeah, we did really well. Scale, compass rose, map key. Nice job. I promise that we're going to get to do more interesting things with maps and actually use them in some lessons later on. For now, I'm going to cut it off because we've learned a lot today and I don't want your brains to get too full in one day. Have an awesome rest of your afternoon, and I will see you for our Zoom party on Friday. That's for 3A, at least. All right, have an awesome rest of your day. Get outside, go play. Weather's beautiful, and see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.